Hello and welcome once again to the How Long to Beat podcast. This week, I can't bury the lead with an all-new, improved 2.0
How Long to Beat the Game 2.0.
As always, I'm just throwing everyone off now.
What did I just say?
We're leading with How Long to Beat the Game. So that's going to be, as always, at the back end of the show. Before that, we're going to talk about what we've beaten, what we've retired, what I've retired, and what we've been playing. This week's topic is going to, in memory of the special edition of the How Long to Beat the Game you're about to hear, it's going to be special editions of games generally. And then we're going to round out with an explainer on the new rules and the first go at it, which could go disastrously or fantastically or anywhere in between. We'll see. I mean, you don't have to wait. You can skip straight to it if you want. There are timestamps below, but stick with us. You want to hear the bit between, really? Maybe. I hope so. So, without further ado, because we're thinking about what we've been cooking up, Alyx.
Dear God, I take a drink right as you hit me with a pun. Son of a bitch.
Tell us about Bear Restaurant, Alyx.
Yeah, so that game that you mentioned from the Steam Games Fest, the fishing one, this is from the same people who made that. And I thought, like, whatever, I'll try it on phone. I ended up buying like the little there's like an epilogue thing that you can buy with it. It's free, so like you can pay to remove ads, but honestly the ads are not intrusive. So like if you want to, like I kind of liked it, so I was like, whatever, I'll just pay for the ads and that, like, because they had like a complete package where it's like buy the ad, get it ad free, and get the extra stuff at the end. And I was like, it was like $4. I was like, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah. I'm happy to throw some money your guys' way. It's very like it's not like really a game, you know? Like, I think some of them are more games than others, and this one is a little less. It's an interactive story, you know? In the sense that, like, basically the way it plays, it's also perfect on the phone, though. So I really do think it's probably playing it on your phone is the best way to do it, because, like, they really use that portrait mode a lot and effectively. And so, like, the idea is you're this little cat, you're in heaven. Well, you're in, like, purgatory, and, like, this bear runs a restaurant, and you're, like, basically feeding people last meals. Who have like died, and so like you get these like memory shards, and so like you look in, it's kind of morbid in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so that got kind of dark real quick.
It's very dark. There's a lot of dark stuff in there, but the thing is, it's translated. So I believe it was Japanese first, potentially, maybe not Japanese actually. I have to double check. But I know it's translated because when I was looking at the credits, it was it said like English translation, which makes me think, yeah, like, man, they have so many translations. I do think it might be from a Japanese developer. I'm not sure though. Developer comments.
I mean, it's definitely a pictorial language, because when you go on their website, the options are English and 3 symbols that mean nothing to me.
Well, Nihongo is what that is. So that's Japanese, and then Korean, and then Chugoku, which is Chinese, Portuguese, France, Russian. So I have a strong feeling it's a Japanese company. I believe, but you know, could be wrong. This makes me want to find out. Like, I can't find any information.
Well, the other interesting thing is,
yes, it's Japanese.
They're called Odin Cat, but Odin's a village in Catalonia.
Oh, well, I found their Twitter, which says Kuma no Resto, with like cat restaurant. So I'm like, they're Japanese. They've got all this Japanese everywhere. So yeah. So the translation, it's like, it sometimes feels a bit simplistic. And so like the writing is dealing with some like fairly intense themes, you know, death and whatnot, but it ultimately feels a bit it doesn't feel very real at times. Sometimes it does, but it often feels more like, I don't know, maybe like fairy tale-ish, where it's like a simplistic look at how the world is, I guess, you know, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like in this thing where you're like, okay, I see what you're saying, but like, unless it's the Japanese specific segments, because there's quite a few people that you'll meet who are like Japanese, those moments actually feel more real, because I think they're more personal, right? For like the developer who probably has more experience. But then anything that's like trying to be from another country feels a little like that's not how that works. You know what I mean? And so there's a bit of that in it. Overall, I think it's pretty sweet. The art's beautiful. Like, it's really, really beautifully done pixel artwork, and there's some really lovely moments in it. You can dive into these like memory shards. You can see how the person died, which are kind of neat. It's not very long. It's like maybe like 2 hours or so. With the epilogue, it's more like 3, 4. In the epilogue, you go to hell, which is kind of neat. So you get to see the bad folk and how they died. And again, that's where things get a little simplistic. Like, some parts of it, you're like, really? That? Okay, whatever. Because now you're dealing with morale. And so this is a complicated thing, right? When you set a game in like a purgatory, or the idea of people going to heaven, you're immediately placing your thumb on the moral scales. And that's a dangerous place for a game to go into, because unless you have a strong philosophy, it's might be a little weak, you know? So that's kind of where I'm like, oh man, you're really not doing yourself favors setting this where you've set it. But ultimately, I think it's pretty sweet. The story of the bear is pretty sad. But like, overall, it's like a fun little game. Like, it's perfect on like a commute or some shit. And like, it has a really generous like way that it saves, because, you know, phone games, you're always wondering like, how is this game saving? But like, it just seems to always pick up right where you were. So that's really nice. So anyway, Bear's Restaurant, it's fun. Like I said, it is free. So really, I think there's no reason not to at least check it out, because if you really don't like it, you will have absolutely lost nothing. You can just like bounce off right away if you don't dig it. But if you do dig it, you're going to find yourself enjoy it. I think, Paula, I think you would quite enjoy this. It reminded me a bit of a visual novel, in the sense that, yeah, it's more narrative based than it is anything else. Because you're really just like, it's like point and click in a sense, where like you'll move the character around, but there's not really puzzles. And like, it kind of is, but ultimately not at all. Like, the hardest thing you have to do is like match something, and it's like very easy. So anyway, that's Bear's Restaurant. Rick, why don't you go next so that you have a little bit of a buffer between?
I was thinking exactly that. Yeah. So I have completed 3 games this week, all with slightly awkward titles. So firstly, I finished Wolfenstein: The Old Blood for PS4. I didn't find out until after I'd beaten this game that it was technically 2 DLC parts sort of sandwiched into one standalone release. In hindsight, that makes perfect sense, because the first and second parts do feel very, very different. The second part definitely has more padding. Like, there's a weird boss battle thing near the end that isn't really well set up at all. 1/4 of the game is like a slightly elongated mech segment. Overall, the game is good, but it was built on good foundations. Like, it's very hard to make more game within the engine and the framework of the New Order and get it really bad. And for the most part, it is good fun, but not amazing. And I think I would never recommend someone play this instead or before the New Order. I think if you like the New Order, you're going to like this. It's more the New Order. Again, that framework is still really good. The idea of like little, almost sort of arena rooms, but more like stealth setups where, like, yeah, you can go ham and there's going to be lots of enemies while you're trying to find the commandos, or you can take the commandos out and then do what you will with the rest of the enemies. I think that's a really cool setup, and I think it's paced quite well in the original game and in this DLC. The DLC story is kind of pointless. I think play the New Order, you'll know from that whether the Old Blood is worth your time or not. I have to say, I'm quite glad I left it a little while before I made the jump. One other note as well, I played the New Order on PS3, and it was good on that system. Oh, it's so much nicer on PS4. I don't know if the Old Blood got a PS3 release. I imagine it did. But on PS4, those games are so much better. I don't really have much more to say on that, I suppose. Have either of you guys played any of the new Wolfenstein at all? Or
Yeah, I've played all of the new Wolfenstein games, actually, except for the one with the twins, because fuck that game. But
yeah, Youngblood, nah.
yeah, I love the idea, but the execution is yee. Yeah, you know, it's weird. I'm a little bit like with the Doom games with these ones. Incredible games. Really got to be in the mood for them though. And like I played through the first of the 2 new Wolfenstein ones, and then the newest one, which is it? Oh,
the new Colossus.
The new Colossus. I couldn't get into it. played a little bit of
I've
it.
heard that. I have heard that, and I'm debating just skipping it entirely. Truth be told,
And I don't know what happened because, like I said, I really liked the first two. You know, they were really, really good. And then it's like,
Mm.
well, I guess I mean technically the first one and the DLC stuff, but like for some reason I was just like, this game feels different than that other one, and I'm not enjoying. Like, maybe it was just that it was harder, I guess, but like it felt harder in ways that weren't particularly fun. Like I was just getting mowed
Okay.
down all the time, and I was like, ugh, I'm tired. If that sounds appealing to you, then I mean, like, fuck, you're gonna have a good time.
And this is the knife point because it's a game that truly, I think, more than anything else I've played, delivers on the go stealthy or go ham. Both ways are perfectly viable because you can like overcharge health and armor. You can dual wield weapons and just fucking throw down. You can pick up heavy machine guns and like single arm them. It gives you that tool set that makes it so that stealth isn't the only way, even though ostensibly you can do everything. And there were definitely moments in the DLC where it felt like, yeah, I could technically do both, but stealth is the obvious choice here. And I think that's maybe a slight weakness, but the stealth is fun enough that it never really felt all that bad. And in the moments where it does all fall to shit, you don't feel like, right, got to start again. Like you feel capable of fixing it. So there were times where like I'd really scuff up the first commander of the two, and then he's calling in reinforcements. Like, yeah, reinforcements. It's like shit. I can still do this though, and you get that guy quickly. But that's the emergent stuff where the setup allows for fun gameplay out of it, and depending on where you fuck up and how badly you fuck up, those encounters are just completely different.
Yeah, sorry,
and I
you
think that's a
saying
really
that
cool aspect.
about the commanders just like unlocked a memory for me of playing that game. Yeah, I totally remember those segments, going through, hunting them all down. Oh, that was good shit. That's a good game.
Right, and that's gameplay at its finest, where like the systems just work and you feel empowered and it all comes together. That's what you want. Did you say you played this one, Paula, or not?
I didn't. I haven't played like any of the Wolfenstein's games, so
That's
nothing
fair.
to say here.
Yeah, and to be fair, I have no history with the franchise. I played a little bit of like they either ported like a Wolfenstein 3D RPG or like one of the originals to mobile way back when. I think I played a bit of that and was like, it's all right. I'm pretty sure it's like a grid-based, turn-based one, but
well, you can play the originals through the new Wolfenstein games.
You can play sections of them, yeah.
Yeah, I had lots of fun with that.
But I mean, the game is such that you need no prior knowledge of the series anyway, because it's an entirely new timeline. So, yeah. So that was Wolfenstein. I then played Ratchet and Clank Future Quest for Booty. This is the second of the 4 PS3 Ratchet and Clank outings. And I mean, I gotta say, you can tell this is one that they threw together because they couldn't get the full game ready in time. I beat this in just over 2 hours, and
what? Damn.
So basically, a little bit of a really sad gaming history lesson. Insomniac were in a really fucked up place in the 6th gen, where they were basically expected to complete a Ratchet and Clank game, the following year complete a Resistance game, and back and forth and back and forth. And what happened is the first of the PS3 titles, Tools of Destruction, was good, but took longer than it was supposed to. That impacted, or was impacted by development on Resistance 1. They then ended up behind on Resistance 2. They straight up couldn't get the next Ratchet and Clank ready in time. So the concession they made was that they would release like a small budget priced like mini Ratchet and Clank that they would, I'm pretty certain they sheared what they wanted the opening of that next game to be off and crafted its own game out of it, to the point that you have no control over your arsenal. Like the first level, you have like 7 of the series weapons, and one of them relies on like not dual sense, 6-axis motion to move the projectile around, so it's functionally useless. So you have the amount of weapons less one, and then you lose them all because you wash up on like a pirate ship, and then you're like marooned on a different island. And then you slowly accrue those weapons back at predetermined story points where someone's like, I found these weapons wash ashore. They're more good to you than they are to me. It's like, yeah, all right, fuck off, game. they all start at level 3 of 5 because you just straight up haven't got the time to level them. So it's like a quick, dirty leveling hack just to get you in a better place for those. There are no Gadgetron shops. There is no way of buying other weapons with the exception of one that you can buy from a smuggler for a comically low amount of money. And a lot of the game is either gimmick sections or little like horde wave bits built into the game. It's a weird hodgepodge patchwork thing, and it's still Ratchet and Clank, and there is still absolutely quality that shines through. And I wouldn't say that I didn't have a good time playing it, but it is far and away the weakest Ratchet and Clank experience I've had. And I've played Size Matters and Secret Agent Clank and liked them both more than this. And I think that kind of speaks volumes. The
For
bit that was the
whoever
most galling,
understands.
yeah, if you know, you know. I mean, Secret Agent Clank is much maligned. Like, that game is actually okay. Size Matters is actually quite good, but they are considered like black sheep of the series because they're like little PSP entries. Size Matters is actually pretty solid. What's galling the most is that the story is just an overlong tease for a returning character for the next full Ratchet and Clank game, which is A Crack in Time, right? And it was a tease that makes no sense. So I'm very curious to see how they try and reconcile that. So I'm looking forward to playing that one because I've heard that game is pretty good. And then after that, there's a game called Into the Nexus, which was another like mini Ratchet and Clank game that they just sort of threw together kind of thing. If you're playing all the games, like, play it, but if you want to bum rush the Ratchet and Clank series, it's abso-fucking-lutely skippable. There is nothing that it does that makes it in any way worth playing over and above any of the other Ratchet and Clank games. And I think it's possibly the only one so far that I can say that about, with the exception maybe of Ratchet and Clank 2016, which I think kind of missed the mark. I'm pretty certain I've talked about that in a previous episode. So that's the PS4 sort of reimagining that was made to tie in with the God Awful movie.
Which, ironically enough, is the only Ratchet and Clank I've played.
Oh, just
But I
get the
liked
Vita
it.
trilogy.
I
You
have
a Vita. You have a hack Vita. Play it. The original. The first
I
a little
got
bit
a lot of
ropey.
stuff on the go.
First a little bit ropey. You can probably skip the first, although it's got the best story. 2 and 3, masterpieces of that gen. Enough gushing about Ratchet and Clank. The last game I played, and I blame both of you for this because you've given me like a Picross related itch that I needed to scratch. I downloaded on my hacked 3DS and played my Nintendo Picross, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which was like a Club Nintendo reward tie-in Picross game for Twilight Princess, the HD port for Wii U. That's the level of niche that we are operating on at this point. Now, rest assured, I did not redeem this on Club Nintendo. I found a .cia file and I downloaded it. And it worked fine. And it's Picross. Like, it's good Picross. The tutorial was a little bit overly handholdy, but you forgive that. Like, it's not the end of the world. So this game has 45 regular Picross puzzles. It's Picross. It's fine. The art's actually quite nice. Interesting. Some of the stuff that they pulled through. There is 45 mega Picrosses, which is a fucking abomination, and I swerved hard. Like, I played the opening 2. It's the first time I've tried Mega Picross. Mega Picross can die in a ditch. I have no interest.
Oh, yeah.
So I played the first 2, and I just noped the hell out of there. And then there's they call it Micross. So it's like a big fuck-off picture that's like an 8x8 grid, and each of the squares on the 8x8 is its own little Picross puzzle, and they come together to make one massive. Really, really good, actually, because you have an idea oftentimes of where it's coming together, and there's certain bits that you can then make assumptions from. I think it's actually the only time where I felt like the partially completed Picross picture actually helped me solve the Picross puzzle. And the art at the end was lovely. It's like a picture of Link and Ganon fighting, but it's like really nice pixel art, very detailed, very big. If you have a hacked console or happen to have the means to get this legitimately through Club Nintendo, it's good Picross, and it's Zelda themed, and it's nice.
I don't think you can get it through Club Nintendo, right? Like, I think this is...
Has it gone now? I honestly don't know.
Oh, I don't think
You can
that's
still
there.
get it.
Can you get it?
Yeah, you have to use your silver coins for it.
You can't get that in Canada. I'll tell you that right now.
I
Oh,
didn't
I
even know
see.
there were silver coins.
Yeah, well, it's platinum
No,
coins here.
actually, platinum coins. I'm sorry.
Oh, look, it's different in different
Using
regions.
the
So the bottom line is there are legitimate and illegitimate means by which to get this game. And if you really want Zelda Picross specifically, this is the one. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's Picross. Like, there are absolutely plenty of other ways to get Picross. This isn't the pinnacle Picross experience, but it's nice Picross and it's nice Zelda art, and it successfully like met that need for me for now, and I can now forget about Picross for a little while again and move on to other things.
And
So
before we do that, sorry, Paula, you're gonna say like how do you get it?
oh, you have to pay platinum coins on my Nintendo,
Oh,
and you get it as a reward. Like it is between like all the digital rewards, like the um all the themes and stuff like that.
okay.
are
I
there any
can't
other?
remember.
Go on. Sorry.
Oh, I can't remember like how many coins, but I remember I saved up for it.
Would you say, Paula, there are any other like actual games on Club Nintendo worth finding legitimately or illegitimately?
I don't think there are. Like
Okay.
the most I've done with my platinum coins right now is pretty much like get more items on Fire Emblem Heroes, like when I was playing back in the day.
That's the mobile one, right?
Yeah, that's the mobile one. It's actually like pretty good. Like
I've heard it's decent, to be fair. Yeah.
yeah, but I haven't played lately. But when I have like any platinum coins like about to expire, I just
Pop
get
on.
more stuff for the game. Yeah.
And those platinum coins, they be shining like a pearl. Tell us about Pokemon Shining Pearl.
Boo.
Fuck all of you. That was a good pun.
Well, I finished Pokemon Shining Pearl. I forgot how huge like Victory Road was for this game, and the amount of places where you can get absolutely lost there. But I made it to the Elite Four. I went through the Elite Four, and I'm like, hey, why didn't you like redesign some of the trainers like you did with the Elite Four? Because some of these battles are seriously awesome because there are like held items in the game, and the Elite Four uses them. They use the held items, and that makes the battle significantly more challenging. And they have like Pokemon with competent natures. They are like EV trained. They have like max IVs. And overall, they have like very solid teams, especially like Cynthia, which I played more than one playthrough of Platinum, and I remember I did like Nuzlocke run of Pokemon Platinum, and Cynthia steamrolled like half on my team before I could like get a hold on the battle and beat her. And on this game, it is not different. Like Cynthia is still a powerful trainer. She has a Milotic with what was the ability again? Marble skill, I think. And that means if the Milotic has like any status condition, aka if it's burn or poison or anything like that, its defense goes up. And I'm like, well, fuck that. It was already a bulky beast, and I have level 70 Pokemon. I was over level and still struggled with a couple of her Pokemon. So that was a nice Elite Four right there. Actually, the way I managed to like just beat that battle, just win that battle. I have my bulkiest Pokemon with leftovers, which meant it would like recover 10% of its health every turn. And that gave it like enough health to withstand an attack from her Garchomp, and I survived with like 1 HP. and literally like the next round, the fastest Pokemon would win, and I won, and it was epic. It was awesome. So yeah, pretty happy with how they designed the Elite Four there. They buffed them up. Like there was like a huge difficulty slope right there, or a difficulty wall, if you may.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like with this game and Arceus, like Game Freak Pokemon Company was just like, oh yeah, you think our fucking games are fucking easy? I'll fucking show you. Like,
Yeah, like imagine now if in Gen 9 right now, they take elements from Arceus and the good things they did with Diamond and Pearl, like especially with the Elite for giving them items and all the stuff, they could actually come up like with a very competitive game. Will they do it? I don't fucking know. Probably not. But
I think they
will we
might,
buy
though.
it? Probably yes.
Because the thing that I honestly feel like Arceus might be like a proof of concept for what they wanted to do with the new ones. You know what I mean? Like it feels a little bit like, because if you look at the pattern of Pokemon games, they always release like the first game on a new system is always the worst one, right? And it tries things and it kind of is okay, but then whenever they release next is most often like the stronger game, right? Like it just has like it's just more refined, things are just better. And so that's why I don't know. I feel like, you know, they had their Sword and Shield. They've even got an Arceus out now. And I feel like now with Scarlet and Violet, like I could be wrong, but I have a feeling we're going to see something that's at least more interesting than what we've had before.
At the very least, more polished as I'm looking at it. Especially because, like, the DS games, I remember the palettes being, like, kind of washed out, or, like, the original Ruby and Sapphire, where the palettes were kind of weird. And then they solved that with Emerald. The pixel art in Emerald is overall much nicer, especially, like, the overworld tiles.
And I think, too, like, X and Y, and then you go over to Sun and Moon, and, like, Sun and Moon comparatively, like, as much as I love X and Y, Sun and Moon is, like, whoa, you know?
Yeah. Sun and Moon, my poor 3DS, like, was like screaming the entire way through, especially with horde battles. Like that poor thing wasn't made to have like 6 Pokemon on the screen at one time. But it handled it. So yeah, like I technically finished the story of Pokemon Shining Pearl. I still have the Pulsium, which we'll see if I tackle anytime soon. And right now, my boyfriend is pulling me into the more competitive aspect, which, by the way, I used to be a competitive Pokemon player back in the days of X and Y. And that is another rabbit hole I truly didn't wish to revisit, but it seems I might.
For those at home, you can't see this, but Paula just turned her baseball cap around and is getting ready to fight.
Those days were awesome, but like that was the time where competitive Pokemon was made like easier. And you can prove me wrong, because trying to breed your perfect team with the perfect egg moves and all the perfect IVs and training them with horde battles, that was like the easiest way to do it. You can still train your Pokemon quite easily here, but you can't beat horde battles and being able to turn off the damn Spiringer. So yeah, that's Pokemon Shiny Pearl. As I'm being dragged back from competitive Pokemon retirement, let's see the games Rick has retired this week.
Solid.
That was horrible.
I'm rubbing off, is what's happening. So, it's time for me to talk about my first retirement, and that is Blades of Time. This is a weird, hokey little game. I think it's technically Konami published. But it's a very strange combination of like knocking off Uncharted and also knocking off God of War, and also like a very, very strange kind of fan servicey pandering. So like you play as this girl called Ayumi who ends up activating some kind of crystal and then being this fantastical land. And you have a God of War style sort of light attack, heavy attack situation. But you also have a gun. And there are certain enemies that require you to use very wonky aiming controls to shoot them. There is also very wonky platforming. And there is also horrific voice acting. And none of it's very good. And it doesn't get any better in the combination with all of the other not very good parts. None of it is outright bad, however. It's just a really incompetent package, but it's okay. I have a lot of better than okay games that I'm very, very eager to play. And I didn't really need this 4 gigabyte install on my PC. So I made the executive decision that I wouldn't be carrying on. I was trying for an Ayumi pun in my head and it wasn't really happening. I decided that it was time to shelve this game. And then I...
Barely a pun at the same time.
Paula's just switched off. She's just poker facing me. My second retirement was a little bit more bittersweet. So this is Dark Void Zero. It's a DSiWare game. I happen to be playing it on 3DS. Now, the game is excellent. Like gameplay, art, mechanics, setup, very, very strong. It leans a little bit too hard into its like hardcore retro sensibilities for me to be able to finish it. So the core problem is at the end of each of the 3 levels, which are in themselves quite big, you have to fight a flying boss, which is fine. But if you run out of 1-ups on the boss, you have to play the whole damn level again. And
No.
I'm not about that. No, that's not happening. There is no checkpoint system. If you run out, if you die, you go back to your teleport, but you have like 2 1-ups most. And if you run out of those, back to the start. And do you know what? If it had been like that, but the boss, like you get to restart from the start of the boss, I probably would have cracked on. Because I was at the end of World 2, I had one more world to play. But I did not fancy playing World 2, however many times it took for me to master the art of that boss fight, which is in itself a completely different skill set. So it's not even like what you're doing in the regular levels prepares you for that, because it's a totally different kind of combat. It's like a single screen thing where, yes, the mechanics are the same, but your approach to that kind of combat is completely fucking different. And it is a crying shame because the core gameplay itself is really, really smart and far better than the big version of the game that it's like a tie-in for. Like there's a little retro platformer where you also have a jetpack in certain sections, and you can do like a hover thing, and you can move around the map a bit more freely. And the enemies respawn, but are actually quite a challenge, even the smallest ones of them. Like it's a great concept, and I love the way that they'd set it up. I talked a little bit about this last week in terms of the idea of it being like lost media and like a forgotten game that's been restored. And I love that as a concept. I feel like they really leaned hard into that in a really good way. I'm not here to have my time wasted by playing the same level 15 times until I can master the boss at the end of it. So, unfortunately, that one's shelved. I mean, I'm lying to myself and saying I might come back to it one day, but I shall not come back to it one day. That's a retirement. It's been retired. That's happened. So yeah.
You heard it here first.
That's the retirements, because no one else has retired anything. Really, we need to put Paula's your retirements in another castle message back into our show notes again. Now that little wobble's over. Voice went a bit then. That wasn't the one. Alyx, it's been a while since we've let you jump in. So tell us what you've been playing. Lead us in onto that section.
Yeah, it's been... Folks know I'm doing like a practicum right now. I'm teaching full-time in a high school, and I have my evening classes that I teach as well. So, I'm doing double duty right now, and I'm a little pushed to the fact that I'm even recording these episodes this week is a miracle. I'm just like, so much prep, which I'm already behind on, whatever. But anyway, I've been playing a fair bit. Like I have basically not touched Half-Life Alyx. I'm just not putting it on retirement because I'm going to beat this game. I'm just kind of waiting for my March break to have more time to play. let me see. What else have I kind of... Oh, I touched this Shadowgate VR. The other day, I like put on my Oculus and I was like, I'm just going to play something. And I had this Shadowgate game that was like, I got really cheap at some point or whatever. It's like, Shadowgate was an old dungeon crawler game. Like the first person one when you go through, like it's a very old thing. And so they kind of like, I don't know if they remade necessarily, but they made this VR game where you're essentially just going through a dungeon. It feels very old school. Like you get to the start and there's like this big wizard who's like, here is the tale where the dwarves in this mountain and you must go find it, young magician, like that kind of thing. And you're like, okay, this is kind of fun. It's okay so far. You have like a wand that you can shoot stuff with, but most of the puzzles at the moment have really just been about finding ruins like on the walls, shooting with your wand and like opening gates and stuff. And I assume it's going to get a little different, but at the moment I was like, but it's fun enough. I think if you like Shadowgate, or have any knowledge of the series, you probably would find this really fun, and like really neat. So anyway, doing that, still playing a bit of Card Thief. The little, it's just fun to play while chilling. It's kind of like if I don't want to play Picross and I'm watching something, I'm like, I'll do a little bit of Card Thief.
Complete tangent. Has anyone been playing Wordle? Because that's very much my like little side thing at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unapologetically into Wordle. It's fun, I mean, only once a day, which is truly a travesty, but
it's probably the only reason that we're still like functional members of society, because that thing is digital crack. Like that's a problem if you can play more than a couple today.
Yeah, I've been playing both Wordle, the Spanish version, the English version, and Nerdle, the math puzzle equivalent.
Oh, there's
and I'm playing there's like the regular Nerdle, the short Nerdle that are like shorter equations, and what's the name? I forget the name, but it's the instant Nerdle where you have like one chance to get it right, and they give you like the prior attempt at it.
I love the idea that there's someone somewhere who's learning another language so that they can play another Wordle a day.
That would be actually a pretty fun.
That'd be amazing. Sorry, Alex. Crack on. It's complete nowhere tangent.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, not much to say about Card Thief again. It's just a mobile game. It's whatever. It's good times. Still playing a lot of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Still great. It's just a good time. I am finding traversal sometimes to be a little like, I'm like, why can't my guy jump? Why must I use a Pokemon to jump? But I will say, lots of good quality of life stuff. Like actually doing your mounts is so easy. Like you literally just like, push right or left on the D-pad to choose the one, press the start button, immediately you're on your mount. And I'm like, oh, thank you for not making me go into a fucking like menu and click ride or some shit. I'm like, thank you, Christ. The only complaint I have, and I really don't understand why they've done this, is that like the inventory is limited in how much space you have, because the idea is like your satchel, and so you buy more inventory space, I think up to a limit from this guy in there. Part of me thinks it's like, honestly, to ensure that there is an economy in the game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, part of me feels like it's like, here's something to actually spend your money on, because frankly, you don't really have to buy any items because you can craft everything. So I think that might honestly be partially why they did that. But it's just a little annoying. Like, I've gotten to the point now where like I basically have enough space. It's just, you know me. The reason I jumped off Divinity Original Sin so bad was because I was like,
I'm not here to sort inventory.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. And I'm feeling a little bit of this with Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm like, you're a good game, but motherfucker, if I have to start fucking sorting through inventory, I'm going to lose my mind. I already have to sort through enough fucking Pokemon. I don't want to have to do it with inventory too. And you get so many Pokemon. Holy shit. Like, got so many. And it's fun. It's great to do it in that. But yeah, I already know. I really enjoy it. It's a good game. Lord knows I'm not fucking spending any more time than I need to in it. Like, I'm going to blast through it and have fun. But like, I'm not spending my time here fucking grinding out Pokemon. Like, it's not fucking happening. You know what I'm saying? Some people will, Paula, whenever you play Arceus, you're going to spend like 3 years in this game, but I'm good.
No.
Like, you got lost in
the
Grand Underground. You're going to go nuts when you get out into these
It'll be Bidoof of the Wild.
Yeah. Especially because it's so easy to like run around and just like whip your Pokeball at stuff. Like, yeah. Good times. Though I don't know why they gave you a Dark Souls roll. I guess you use it in like the big Pokemon battles, but you're running around. There's no fucking reason to use it. But you'll get like attacked by Pokemon and like some. Anyway, sometimes I'm just like, I'm just trying to get somewhere. Leave me the fuck alone, you dumb hippo. Or you'll just be standing and all of a sudden a lightning bolt hits you and you're like, what the fuck? I didn't even know there was Pokemon nearby. So yeah, good game. Still playing Pixel Cross Adventure. This game's great. I love it. It's excellent. So many unique, weird locales. Doing puzzles and then seeing the actual item appear in the world is, I have still not gotten tired of it. It is an ingenious concept for Picross. And I found some options in the menu that let me speed up my cursor a little bit. And so it actually feels like the cursor is the proper speed now in the game. And so I really appreciate that. And I'm like, man, like if they make, I imagine it was much harder to make than a regular Picross game, but I would absolutely buy more of these games if they do this concept, because it's just smart, you know, and it's very cheeky and fun, and there's like little items that you're finding and stuff, but it just really ties together the whole Picross game much better. I also jumped into Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not even back to where I was when I played it the first time. God damn, the opening is so long. There is so much in that opening. Like, I know technically you're like playing the game, but fuck, man, there's so like anyway, it's fine. It looks great on the Series X right now, and I only ran into one thing, you know, in that first opening segment, you know, where you're going through and like you're rescuing the chick in the bathtub. Yeah, the big dude right outside of the bathroom. Like when he died, I was so funny because my fiance was watching me play, and I was like, she's like, oh, did they fix this game? And then right when I turned around, he was like dead on the ground, but his foot was like shot up right into the air, like as if it was clipped on something. He was like this, and she was like, no. Oh, guess not. Like I was like, the timing was so amazing.
That's amazing.
I was like, holy shit. But overall, it actually did feel significantly smoother than when I played it the first time. Like I can just already tell there's just more people around. Like it, you know, like it just feels more populated. And even when I booted it up, like the list of improvements they had made, I was like, oh yeah, this game is actually fully launched on this console now. Which, like, you know, I know like some of the stuff was on PC and whatnot, but it's really reminds you of how broken it was when it did first come out. Like obviously still enjoyable, but like it was just broken, particularly on these consoles. You got really lucky though, Rick. But I'm having fun so far. Mm-hmm. Though, my God, I don't know if it was just because I was playing Deathloop on the PC or some shit, but like found aiming really fucking hard in this. Like, I don't know what it was, but like it was like I was moving it felt like there was a lag as I was like moving my aim. And I think part of it is because maybe, I don't know, this feels like one of those games that's very auto assist aiming, where it's like very much like hit and shoot and like not so much like aim and move to shoot. Like I don't know what it was. I was trying to mess around with some of the settings, but like the settings these days are getting
120 hertz.
No. I was doing this on my Series X.
Deathloop.
Cyberpunk. Oh, no, Deathloop. So yes, Deathloop is more than 100. It's more than 120 hertz.
Whether it's a refresh rate thing, that it's just like moving back to that from a high refresh rate. That's what I'm asking, basically.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have 120 hertz on the TV, but I'm pretty sure it's going at. I don't actually know what the frame rate is right now. Whatever.
I mean, your Series X or S, it will not be high refresh rate. It'd be 60 maybe.
Yeah. I know the TV is anyway. Whatever. Actually, no, because my TV does run at 120 hertz refresh rate. Whatever.
But then you're bottlenecked by the games console. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whereas Deathloop on PC, you absolutely are not.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to be. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what it is. It just feels like as I'm going through it, I'm like, oh, but it doesn't feel like it's a refresh rate issue. It just feels like actually as I'm like moving the thing, my aiming just actually feels slow compared to like other games that I've been playing on the Series X. So I don't know what the issue is there. It just feels weird and unwieldy. And I'm like, shit, one game on PC kind of ruined me on analog already. I'm like, please God, no. But anyway, Cyberpunk's good. Another game, last game, Majora's Mask. Loving it. Having a great time. I'm with the Gorons right now. I'm not like super far in because I've had to like bounce off and on, but man, the work Neryl did is just fucking unreal. It's so gorgeous. Playing it with the GameCube controller feels great. I'm just like I think I'm entering into the second dungeon now. And like I said, I'm playing with a guide, and I'm very glad that I'm doing that because I don't feel like figuring everything out. Except in the dungeons. The dungeons are fun to just do on my own. But it's like the in-betweeny shit. Like I'm just like, where do I go next? Oh, cool, that's fun. And like going along, and it actually is like pretty enjoyable. It's like a weird situation where I'm like, because this game's so old and because I just don't have the time right now, I'm like, I'm going to make my game a little more linear. Although honestly, arguably the game is pretty linear anyway. Like there's lots of fun stuff that you can do in the town, and like there's lots of different things you can do at different times. But like the path itself, right? Like, you know, they block off so you can't go to different areas, just to make sure that you get things in kind of the right sequence. But anywho, that's it for me. Why don't you take over? I don't mind. Paula, you want to talk? What have you beaten?
Okay. I don't mind.
All
mind.
your wild
I've been
named
playing.
games.
Yeah, I've been jumping around a bunch of games this week. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm supposed to be like both working and on class. I don't know. Like, where did I get the time to play anything this week? So I'm like, well, okay. So for Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade, I finished the Link chapters, and I've been like toying with the idea like, am I gonna do like the Hector chapters that are like the hard mode of the game, or am I gonna just go with the Eliwood chapters? And I think I'm gonna stick with the Eliwood chapters, but more on that next week.
Can you even select the Hector chapters before beating it? I feel like you have to.
That is a very good question.
Yeah, I think you have to play through Eliwood first. I mean, could be totally wrong. I just don't remember seeing the option to play as Hector until the game was over.
Yeah, I'm probably like gonna play the Eliwood and skip Hector because I don't know, like I like my Fire Emblem games, but I don't know, like for how many hours I can play the same Fire Emblem game without losing my sanity.
Yeah, plus I feel like that was more for, you know, back in the day, you bought the game, here's more game for you, you know what I mean? Like it's like a nice value thing. But now it's like, it's fine, I have many other Fire Emblem
There are
games.
many other Fire Emblem games. Yeah, so far solid. Hopefully like the hand holding will stop right now. And also the fog of war can go die in a corner. I really do not like that mechanic. Anyways, the other game that I'm playing is Variable Barricade, and I think I'm gonna like take like a small break from this one, like until I beat another game on the list. But at the very least, I've already made it to, I think, the third or fourth chapter, and I've seen enough of the game to see like which route I'm gonna start with, which is Shian's route. That means nothing to you guys, but
nope.
Accurate.
At the very least, it seemed to be like the less problematic of the love interest of the game. Like, I'm still have like my gender / probably size sensors like going off right now, but from what I've heard, it seems that they're like going up for no reason, just because he looks like another character that I remember being like pretty bad. So let's hope for the best that my first route isn't like the mess up route. So yeah, it's still like the overall like the common route has been like a lot of fun so far. It's just so stupid, like how the different guys are like, hey, I don't know, like why Hibari is in such a bad mood and she's like avoiding us and stuff like that. Oh, and there are like side chapters where you see everything from the view of the love interest without the protagonist being there, and that is so interesting because they just start like bickering and like saying like, oh no, you see you did this the other day, and of course she's gonna be mad if you said this to her. And the way that they play, like they replay like the scenes like from like they do the flashbacks, it's just absolutely funny. And I don't know, like there's something about this particular cast of characters, maybe because they already like been living like for a month together, that and they are like more friendly, but friendly and sassy with each other. It's not like newfound family, but they get along to the point they can like be an asshole to each other, like, and not take it personally. And that just gives it like a new layer of fun in a way. I know it's weird the way I'm talking about it, but I'm trying to describe it to the best of my abilities right now. Another game that, and we're going like from funny to, oh my god, this hit me in the feels this morning. What lies in the multiverse? Around, I think I'm around halfway through the game. And oh my god, like the game overall is like funny, and it tries to it has like some really good humor overall, and there are like some very wholesome or like cutesy moments. But oh my god, it just hit hard. Like the game has the way that even if it looks like very lighthearted or like it looks more colorful, it does have a way to hit you in the feels. And I just got to that point in the story, and I had to put it down, like for the day, because I don't know. There's something about the storytelling or how visual, like how it tackles the topics on the game, that it just hits you in the feels like big time. Which I like in my games, but still, Aaron, Lisa, if you're hearing this, I hate you because you made me cry.
Yeah, I'm meaning to pick that up soon. I had to switch.
Yeah,
my
you
Switch.
guys. Yeah.
I just.
You guys seriously need to play it because I really want to make a spoiler cast on this one.
Yeah, what did I do? I switched my Switch to like it used to be my primary, but now my partner's. She's off. She's like leaving for a month because she has to do like doctor stuff. And so I had to turn that one to the primary so she could actually play Animal Crossing
without the Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's worse than that because she has her own account that we use so she could have her own like Animal Crossing thing. The problem is that if you add an account onto a Nintendo Switch, and if you've purchased the game digitally, it can only be played by other people on that account if it's the primary Switch.
Oh.
Yeah, because if it's one that has to check the internet, it's going to check to see if the game can be played by the person who bought it, not by the people on that thing, which I do to a degree understand this because it's kind of like they're basically trying to say like you're not allowed to just like buy 100 Switches and just give them to your friends with their own accounts. You know what I mean? Like I get that. But it was just sort of annoying. So now like because I take the bus, the game will check the internet at the end of the day. So I can play one game that has to check the internet in the morning, and then I can play one on card in the afternoon.
Oh.
But it's fine because I have mostly physicals that I've been playing these days anyway. But that's why I haven't jumped yet on What Lies in the Multiverse, but I'm coming soon.
Oh.
So there you go. Trials and tribulations of owning a Nintendo Switch. 2 Nintendo Switches. Oh, how sad my life is.
Well, another game that isn't on Switch, but is on the Vita, is Period Cube Shackles of Amadeus. Amadeus.
Mm-hmm.
And
Amadeus.
I've played to complete on 3 other routes of the game. And I'm on another one like that I started last night. And I'm starting to remember like a lot of things. Like there are like a lot of moments or a lot of like parts of the routes that I like. But then there's like that one moment that is like, no, why would you do that, game dev? Like why? What were the writers thinking? But right now I played what I think are like my 2 favorite routes that are Radius and Astrum, the 2 first that I played. Then I played, those are like the top players of each faction of the game, pretty much. One of them is like the leader of a guild, and the other one is like a solo player overall. a lone wolf character, if you may. Then you have, I'm trying to remember like all the names because they have like the real world name and like a fake name. The other one that I played was, the third one was Timento, and that one was a charter route because it branches out from Astro's route. And this character is a PK, or a player killer. And if you remember, if you die in this game, you die in real life. So yeah, serial killer route. But that one was genuinely weird. But then we jump into when I was young and innocent and was just getting started into the Atomic game world, I really liked the design of this one character, but I know better now. And I know that if it's voiced by a certain voice actor, that character is probably gonna end up messed up at some point. So that was a red flag, that voice actor. Damn it. But
Also, not to derail this
this
too much, but I just love the trend of like, okay, we're gonna make a game about video games, but there's just no stakes in this. What do? You die in real life. Like, it's just like,
yeah, and that's just such like an overused trend at this point in time. Like back when Period Cube like released, I guess it wasn't as big of a trend, but of course it was like coming like probably like Sword Art Online. That was like the first big
well, Sword Art
anime that.
Online has done it, and now it feels like you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, but there are ways to do it. Like Log Horizon, I feel does it better because Sword Art Online felt more like, oh, we are like more in a fantasy world rather than a video game. And Log Horizon did it in a way that it feels like we're still in a video game and we have to use the game systems that are now in place to do things. Like one thing that Sword Art Online doesn't do that even Barricade does is has like the menus for abilities and stuff like that. This seems to be like a turn-based, I want to say a turn-based MMO, the one that it's represented in this game. And that already gives it like that more game factor than the other ones. Though I have to say, they tried to do the NPC thing on this game where one of the love interests is actually an NPC, and because something happens, it I don't think it's too spoilery. Like not many people are actually playing this one.
hello, neither of us are gonna play it, so you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably like one you guys want to skip because of a couple of plot points of the game. But like, because shenanigans happen, now these NPC happen to have self-use with the players. So they take over the body of the player when they come back to the real world. Oh, and that's the other thing that Beer Cube does different, is that if you complete like a special quest, you gain a certain amount of time back on the real world, so you can like go back and forth between the two places, which I find interesting. And one of the routes, Astro's in particular, took that into consideration in the sense of this one player was also like was able like to access the server because they went to the actual server of the game or where the server was stored and access it, and pretty much like work from there and with the players of the game, like to solve the whole thing. So that was an interesting point. Besides those, I'm also like in the box voice route, Hiroya, and
Jesus, how many? Okay, never mind. I don't even want to know.
I'm so glad that I can actually say the term box boy, and you guys know now what does that mean.
I know too much
yeah.
about these things.
We have to go back to Otome, by the way, but that's
Over
for
my dead body.
Half is such a strong word.
I say we swap out each. We'll do like FPS. We should have done FPS February or something. I'm gonna get you to play something that I'm used to.
We'll do Vita April.
Vita April. Vita April.
Vita April.
Vita April. Vita April.
Nice. We'll
That
see.
would actually be fun.
Let's do it. Fuck it.
We have to do Otome at some point. Come on, guys. I know the first experience wasn't good, but how about you choose something or let the...
Insanity is called doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I'm not insane!
Okay.
We'll see. I could probably be convinced. Anyway, continue to regale us.
Yeah, so yeah, currently on the box office route, Hiroya, the child friend of the protagonist of the game, and I'm still like, I don't like. There are like some events of the game that happen like on each route, like how the jaws of death like get expanded like more and more, and then at some point like the players are just forced to go through the dungeon of the game called the Arc, but for some reason, it doesn't feel repetitive. Like, it happened to me that playing Hakuoki, which is historical fiction, that felt very repetitive, especially for like 12 routes, to be fair. But there's more variety. Oh my god.
Variety.
English, Paula. English. Variety on this one, given that up to this point, every character has a very different perspective on both the game world and the real world. So that has been very interesting. And the final one, and I'm so happy to be back on this game, is Shin Megami Tensei 5. I'm still marveled at how good this game looks. Like, for real. No, a game on the Nintendo Switch shouldn't possibly be able to look this good, but it does, and I love it. So I'm back at Fusing Demons. I think my character is around at level 21. And I'm about to go into that story section, like first big story section of the game, which hopefully says something to Alyx.
I don't know what you're talking about because there aren't many big story sections in this game. I love this game, but there's no story. Like, honest to God, there's a couple cutscenes. That's basically all that there is in it. Like, and that's fine. Like, I kind of respect the game for not giving me like 300 hours of fucking cutscenes. You know what I'm saying? Most of the story is through like chatting with the demons in the world. It maybe tells me what you're saying, but I don't know. Like, you beat the first segment, maybe? Like, did you fight the...
I'm back at Tokyo.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like... Are you not
the
in the...
other
Did you just leave the
thing-
desert? How about that?
I just left the desert.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I know what you're talking about then, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing, I'm not gonna go into detail because spoilers, but the only side quest, it was like...
Oh, yeah.
Poor thing, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. So yeah, that's what I've been playing for the last week. Rick, take it away.
Sure thing. So I haven't been playing The Witcher still, and that's
This is your
because
Kadelka.
it's my Kadalka. You're absolutely
Yep.
right. I've been playing a lot of Rocket League this week. Reason being, the season was about to end because of the persistent controller issues I've had, and they are still a thing. But I found a workaround. I had not played a lot of this game, and I hadn't unlocked my champ rewards for the end of the season, which was a couple of days ago at the time of recording. So I leathered this game to like get those rewards and make sure that was like all unlocked. And to be fair, unlocked it with about 24 hours to go. So that was all sorted out. And for anyone else who's having problems with the controller, I found that most of the time, if I restart my laptop and Steam is the only thing that's open and I boot Rocket League straight away, it just likes the controller again. But if I close the game and then open the game again, guaranteed the controller will not work.
Weird.
So yeah, it's very, very strange. And unfortunately, because of my setup, although Rocket League is free to play on other platforms that I own, there is no other platform I own where I can take full advantage of the Steam controller and having the dedicated rotate for air roll on the back paddles. So short of completely changing how I play this game, 2,000 hours in, this is the way that I want to keep playing it. So that's tricky, but I have still been playing it, and it's still Rocket League. It's still amazing. The other thing I've been playing on PC is a little game called Chicken Police. Game 2 of 3 in the Birds Doing Work trilogy that I've got ongoing. It's basically a noir thriller, but you happen to be playing a chicken. And the vibe is off the charts. It really, really nails that noir aesthetic. To paint the picture, the opening is Sunny, your chicken character, in a car, driving across a bridge, rain fucking pouring down on this black and white cityscape. And he goes, went out to buy a pack of cigarettes and forgot my wallet. Damn, I'm tired. And it's just so on point. The game itself is pretty straightforward point and click so far, albeit it looks like there's a couple of like interactive minigame type things. So I played a shooting gallery at one point. I don't know if that's a mechanic that's going to be used later on or if it was just like a one and done, but that's a thing that's part of it.
Also, are we just going to ignore that quite good American accent? Well done, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Academy, my family and friends.
All right, that's good. That's all I wanted to say.
The game has a really interesting approach to interviewing people, where it's all dictated by focus on what you're trying to get out of them, what information you're trying to glean, and focus of approach in pulling that information. It also lets you replay it immediately, even if you succeeded, to get like a better score and pull different information out of that interaction, which is an interesting sort of concession to it being a game, but even sans that, like as a system, I quite like it. The writing so far is very strong, with the exception of a very weird sort of racism play through like the interspecies stuff. So like very early on, someone calls Sonny a feather duster, and he's like, "Oh, if you try any of that racist shit again, like, I'm gonna spark you." And it's like, well, it's kind of speciesist. Like the parallel doesn't really work, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. Maybe that changes. Maybe it's a one-off. I'm not really sure. But I found that quite jarring in what otherwise is a very tonally strong and consistent experience. I like it a lot so far. Of all the games I've been playing, it's the one that I keep sort of thinking about the most. On the topic of Bear Restaurant, I have played a little bit more of Fishing Paradiso on mobile. I mean, it's fine. Like, you fish, you throw a lure out, and then you pull the fish in. And there's this weird story where you're in a different but the same purgatory. And one of your first requests is from the cat that like works at the Bear Restaurant. So there's a weird like tie into the game there. It's very, very flimsy. I mean, ad-wise, it's very unobtrusive. You're absolutely right. Like the same extends to this one, where you get like the occasional ad that you can skip pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's inoffensive. There's nothing it necessarily does wrong. It's just so far a little bit thin. I don't know if that's going to expand out as time goes on. I sort of expect it will, but we shall see, I suppose.
I wouldn't hold your breath, like from my experience.
Touche. Yeah. And then 2 more games to talk about. The first is Astral Chain. I've been playing some more. The more I get through, the more Legion options open up within sort of your tool set, and the way that you use them expands out. The game clearly has a lot of really novel ideas. The setting is well realized. It's very distinct in how it all comes together. I definitely am not going to be the kind of person who does all of the extra things, because a lot of it is very Feels like busy work, let's put it that way. But the core game and the story and the overall aesthetic, very, very strong. And just a little bit of sort of personal me, I now own the Switch Lite that I was borrowing. I ended up just outright buying it off the person I was borrowing it from.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I mentioned that
Ooh.
last week, but that's a thing that's happened. So the Switch is mine. I'm now in no rush to finish that because I can play SMT5 at my own pace. And indeed, all the other games. I bought
Beautiful.
fucking Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle this morning. Like the gold edition was on like 70% off.
Yes.
For a smart
So I'm
guy.
very excited to play Mario XCOM.
It's genuinely way better than it has any goddamn right to be.
So I've heard.
So it has some very difficult sections too.
I
And
kind of own way too
it
much
is
on
beautiful.
Switch at this point. Like I've not had the thing for very long, and the amount of games I'm accumulating. Like I downloaded the free version of Chocobo GP this morning as well. I've got like a few demos for various things. Bought fucking Broforce again.
You're gonna find that is the most Switch thing you've ever said, though. It's like this console, when it first came out, there was like nothing, and like everyone, you're just trying to find shit to buy, and now it's just like, oh, I own every game that I own on everything else on this,
Again,
as well as
on
a
Switch.
million other games because I love to play them portably. And it's like, oh my fucking god.
Subsurface Circular and Quadrilateral Circular are on very heavy discounts at the moment, and it's taking everything in me not to just buy them again.
Oh, I have to stop looking at the Nintendo eShop. Like I just can't look at
Right.
it anymore.
The one
Yeah.
thing that's softening the blow is like the person who originally owned this has let me log back into their account as like a secondary user to play some of their games. So I have the option to play Hollow Knight on Switch if I decide not to play it on PS4, where I also own it. I have like the Saints Row the Third port. I have My Friend Pedro if I want to play and dislike that game again. Like there's quite a few other games that I just have floating around ready to go.
I really recommend playing Hollow Knight on the Switch. Like that's how I did it. It's so perfect for it.
I feel like I'm more likely to play it more than I would on PS4. That's the rub. Speaking of PS4, that's where my final playing game is, and it's an interesting one in the sense that it's kind of very uninteresting, but in quite an interesting way. This is Days Gone.
Oh, that fucking director keeps railing on.
Yeah, he's like, it was a success. Honest, I can't believe they didn't let us make a sequel. Oh, maybe it was because it was riddled with bugs on launch and that affected the review scores and the public reception.
I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, what an uninteresting game. Like, fuck.
It's also it reads as very, very bitter, and that's never a good look.
Yeah.
Have to say though, uninspired as it is, and as much as it feels like every open world zombie situation ever, it's a good game. And now that whatever bugs that were in there have been ironed out, like it's a really robust game as I've been experiencing in the last few days. I have to say I got it on PS Plus, like I got it for free. I did consider very briefly buying it in that launch window, but a combination of like the patchy launch and the fact that it launched in a really congested period of time had me holding off. No. That it was very much hung out to dry. But I am actually having a really, really good time with the game. Doesn't really do anything wrong. Doesn't break a lot of new ground. I think maybe some of the Freaker Horde situations might, but it depends how staged they are, how much scope you have to move around within those. And I have to say, I am a big fan of sort of how realistically they approach the bike, in the sense that you've got to keep the thing fueled up. You've got to like manage it. You can't just pick up another if you like total that one like you would in a GTA or a Saints Row or whatever else. I think that changes the way you approach things. And also because you're in this weird combination of the bike is the only practical way to get around and also noisy as fuck. I like how when you're approaching missions where there really is a need to be a bit stealthier, a little bit like The Last of Us, like you are very much a glass cannon and it doesn't take much to take you out. And I actually quite like that because it makes you approach the game very, very differently. And that's compounded by, well, you need to think, how far out are you stopping to make that approach? Where are you making your approach from? and there's lots of things where it all feeds into it, and I think as a package, they all work in the favor of the game. There's nothing that I dislike about the setup yet, and I'm having a very good time with it. Now, whether that continues, whether I find that I just get done with it, and it's an open world with a lot of random markers on the map, so that there's every possibility that that's how it ends up. And if it does, I got it for free. Come see, come sap. But so far, I do really like what I'm playing. And it's one that I've been enjoying playing, and it's one that I'll continue to enjoy playing, I'm sure. That is me for the playing. Why don't we hop along onto the topic this week, which is limited editions, and this is coming from three people who are more susceptible than most to a good old gaming LE. Interesting one, particularly like in the era of Switch, which has come at the same time as like a massive rise in sort of boutique limited edition game selling enterprises. So obviously limited run games was the first big one, but then you have like Special Reserve, what's it? Strictly Limited, Red Art. There's like a few other ones as well. All getting exclusive licenses to certain things and approaching those releases in different ways. And also, I suppose myself and Paula as Vita owners, that was a market that was rife with like limited release physical games, for better and for worse, because there are some that only release physically, and it's just a stupid way of doing it. But I kind of want to defer to you first, Paula, because I feel like there's another crossover, which is the Otome community, and I feel like it's a community that's very well served by limited editions and like a cornucopia of stuff. Maybe, definitely. Not maybe, definitely.
Maybe. Jesus.
You're funny.
Like, okay, I'm particularly like weak to anything that has an art book or like a plushie or like any kind of interesting merch.
And Paula's looking at the same shelf that we're looking at, which is full of said merch.
Yeah, like this one is from a limited Vita and Otome edition that is the God Realized Wintertime Miracles that came with a series like of SMDs, and I have to say it's one of my favorite limited editions ever because they're like just like one of the best limited editions that Axis Games has put out like for the Otome community, but that's neither here nor there. And I don't know, like, should I name like limited editions or limited run games, or like the limited run game that I didn't get because at that point I wasn't able to?
Well, I guess we should
tell us about the one that got away. I feel like the one that got away is an interesting story.
Yeah, so at the time I wasn't like really well versed into using like the what's the name for it? The PO boxes that allow you to import things from other countries that don't have like shipping to your country. So Limited Run at that point didn't have like shipping to Chile, or if it did have shipping to Chile, it was incredibly expensive because that's international shipping to you. And I was sad because I could have like and the game like actually was enjoyable to me, and I played like digitally because the only physical edition that I could ever get was like from limited runs, and that would cost me a kidney at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad in the UK. I dread to think how bad it was for Chile. Like I paid through the nose for the ones I had initially.
Oh, but here's the thing: the game actually got like some important mom and pop store that brought games from limited run, or like sometimes imported like just used games in general, and sometimes like some limited run game will make its way here. Had that game, and I was saving up for it, and the month I was like, okay, this month I'm gonna buy it, was the month that Sony said we're closing the PlayStation Vita store. And the price of the game doubled.
Ooh.
So yeah, that there went my dream of owning that particular Otome game on physical.
Mm.
It's the only physical release, the only Otome game that got a physical release that I wasn't able to get the physical release of. So damn you, Sony, because with one more month, if they have waited like one more month, I would have been able to pick it up. But no.
Sounds like a curse you, Sony.
It was just frustrating, the timing, because I was like, oh, maybe I should buy it. And then the next day was like, yeah, maybe not. Never mind.
That's always when you regret it. You know, you're always like, maybe I'll get it the next day. And then it's sold out.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was like me. I almost bought this like resin statue of Hollow Knight. And I was like, oh, I should get this. And then it sold out immediately. But I'm actually glad I didn't because I have no place to put it yet. I need a new house.
Oh, man. Interesting one in a similar way. What would you guys say was the worst limited edition you ever got?
That would be the Persona Dancing, like the Persona 3 and 5 Dancing Limited Edition. The only thing
Where the art
worth
book
a
built
damn
into
was...
this, yeah.
Yeah, like the only thing that made it worth it was the Persona 4 Dancing All Night for PlayStation 4, which I still play, but the art book was trashed. It was barely an art book.
Yeah.
It was barely an art book. It was trash. The quality was trash. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Like the whole package just felt cheap. Like you're making a collector's edition. You can't make it feel cheap.
And yet they absolutely can.
Man, I don't know, because like I'll be honest with you, I don't like collector's editions. Like I don't do it. You know, like I like limited, like these limited run things. Like so, what I've been more into is like I have a series of like Game Boy games coming my way, like Infinity, you know, things like that. And like right now, Incubate Games, they're like making Game Boy games. Basically, some of the itch.io games that we played like the year after, Pine Creek. They're getting physicals now, which is really cool. And so those I'm actually like a little interested in. I don't know if I'm gonna get any because I already bought Pine Creek back in the day, supported that creator. But it's like when I think back on like special editions that I got, I mean, I think I got like an Oblivion one on PC way back in the day. Like it was like technically the special edition. That was actually kind of cool because I had the big map and everything. And that was sort of nice. But like I think if I were to ever have bought collector's editions, it would have been in my 360 days. Because I think after that, I just was poor. And other than that, I can't think of any collector's editions that I've gotten now. This is going to drive me crazy. I like genuinely can't think of it. I know there's a lot that look super ridiculous. Like the reason I don't like them is because they come with just with garbage. You know what I mean? Like stickers and some fucking art prints or some shit. And you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with any of these? Like they make a nice collection at the bottom of a bin, you know? Like I'm not like Paula. Paula's got a beautiful collection displayed. I don't got that shit. And I moved around so much too that I felt like it always ended up being useless. Actually, maybe the worst is pre-order bonuses. I remember when I got Pokemon Sword and Shield, they gave me this fucking felt fucking flag thing of like the map of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? Like, I was like, it's sitting. It's sitting in my like closet right now in a box with all my other gaming shit, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this?
So yeah, like that particular piece of pre-order bonus of Virtual Pokemon was like trash. Like, where the hell do you even put that? Like, it is too heavy, like to stick directly to the wall. And I don't like the overall design. I wasn't a big fan of, but I was a big fan of that. Is also Pokemon related. Is like the little medal that came with the Black 2 and White 2 games. There is like a little coin encased in a box that actually did look like super good at, and that particular item I got because I was friends with the manager of a game store. So when I pre-ordered like Pokemon X and Y, he gave me the poster and the medal from the leftovers from Black 2 and White 2.
Well, we were just saying too, like I've had so many of those situations happen where like I'll go in to like a GameStop or something, and like maybe I've pre-ordered a game or whatever, or I'm like just buying it, and they're like, "Oh, got a fuck ton of the collector's editions," and like they just wouldn't, or not even like the deluxe editions, and they just wouldn't charge me extra. They'd be like, "You just want it for the," like clearly there's like something where they're just trying to get rid of them or some shit. And like when I
Yeah.
bought, okay, this is hilarious too though. When I bought Cyberpunk 2077, because I originally returned my Cyberpunk game, right? And then I bought it for like $20 on Amazon about like a year and a half later. And do you know what I got?
The day
Go
one
on.
edition.
Fucking day one edition. I couldn't
Amazing.
believe it. I was like,
Beautiful.
holy shit, brand new day one edition that has all the extras and shit in it. I'm like, wow, that shows you something. Like they were ready to sell so many of these things, and they're just fucking year and some change later, they still have day one editions coming out. That's the
Yeah,
danger of calling
speaking
your
of
shit day one edition.
yeah,
It is.
like one particular item that I was surprised that I got the day one edition of was the Arena Ultimax edition. I don't know if it was like a day one edition or something. The one but it had the tarot cards, like the other set of tarot cards, and I got that just before the virus stroke,
Mm.
and it had the inflatable teddy, and it had the full set of tarot cards, and everything was sealed, and it was beautiful.
That's the
That's the
one.
kind of things you can get in some of these stores when no one is like looking for the stuff anymore.
Because that's the thing, like I feel like there was a period of time when collector's editions, like kind of when they first started coming around, I feel like, and obviously it varies these days, but like there was a pretty concerted effort to have like art books in it, like extra content, like DVDs with like more info on it, like physical items that are like interesting and useful. And then I feel like the birth of the deluxe edition came in, and suddenly it was like collector's editions are just kind of dumb most of the time now. Like I find it's very rare to find one where you're like, oh, that's neat. Like I actually think that SMT5 when they came out was pretty cool because like, oh, that had like a useful, actually interesting bag in there, you know, and like stuff that is like, oh, this is kind of like fun and nice. Because oftentimes even the physical items that were in it, they weren't even good to display, you know? Like they'd be like, here's a
Yeah.
fucking coin. What am I gonna do with that? What
Yeah.
the fuck am I gonna do with that?
Weirdly enough, like literally two hand, I've got my Darkest Dungeon coin bouncing around fucking somewhere. Do you know what? I'm not going to bore you to find it, but I don't know why I didn't put it back in the box. But it's, like you said, commemorative coin, sick. The one that always tickles me was when Watch Dogs came out, and it was like Ethan Generic's iconic hat, and it's like it's the first game. You can't call that shit iconic yet. That's not how iconic works.
We want it to be iconic. You're like, oh, buzz off.
If it's iconic, will you buy the DLC, please?
It's a baseball
one-
hat. You're like,
Yeah.
I
I
was
have
thinking-
to go on, sorry, go ahead.
Like the one collectible coin that I found like beautiful is the Adonis coin from Amadeus. Because in the game, like whenever there's a crime, there's like one of these coins like in the scene of the crime. So whenever I'm with someone who knows the context of the game, that is either like a friend or my boyfriend, because my boyfriend has to suffer through my ramblings of my games. I remember what time I ate some snacks and left the coin there, and he was like, "Really, really." Yeah, it was the scene of a crime. I stole the snacks, so what?
but I feel like this is the thing too. Like they can look good and still be just so stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you get the coins, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty, but who gives a shit? That's cynical me, I guess.
I think the single worst one that I've experienced, and most of my limited editions have been Vita ones. I ordered a limited run games Tesla Grad, like special edition.
Okay.
It's not a great game to start with. Like it's bang average. Like it's a okay puzzle platformer, kind of like short enough to be inoffensive. But I paid silly money for this game, and they couldn't even box it up properly. It's like a 5-sided tray, but the open bit is like the front where it would stand vertically, and there's like a sleeve that goes over, and there's no foam inserts or anything to hold what contents there are inside. So it all just jangles around in the box. It's fucking awful. I haven't even had the heart to sell it yet because I don't really want to inflict that on anyone else. And it's not like I want to play the game again. Like it's not a game that's ever going back into my Vita.
See, I
So
also
that was
oh sorry.
yeah, go on. No, you're all good.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, I think part of this as well, for me at least, is that like, so there was definitely a period of time where I think getting official or interesting like physical items or whatever for your favorite games wasn't easy. Like there wasn't really much out there, right? Like I'm thinking particularly in the 360 era and before, like there just wasn't, like to get that statue or some shit was either be like outrageously expensive or just didn't exist. And so like the collector's edition was kind of your best bet, right? It's like, oh, it's official from them. But like nowadays with things like Fangamer and like you said, Little Run Games, and like, oh, there's just so many websites that are like officially partnered with like indie companies and big companies creating like official decent to, you know, quite good quality stuff. And then Etsy as well has exploded. You can get cooler, like I've almost gotten like there's this lady
Like
who does
repro cards and stuff like that.
repo cards, but then also like someone does like those little like boxes where they like take like they like print out like a GBA like scene, and they make this like semi 3D like looking thing of like one was a Golden Sun. It's like a battle, and so like all of like the UI is like out, and so like that. Anyway, it's really cool, and like
that sounds very cool.
yeah, and it's just awesome. And like she can also do like all of your like she'll do like all Pokemon games, all Elite Fours, and will like put in the names of your Pokemon and your Pokemon who like won the Elite Four, and like make your own little thing. I'm like, that's just cool, you know? Like you said, you've got all this shit, and it's like at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, I don't really know why I would pay usually an absurd markup for a game like that. And then remember, what game was it that was it? No, it wasn't Cyberpunk. Was it Cyberpunk? Wasn't there a game recently that the collector's edition didn't have the game in it?
There was, but it wasn't Cyberpunk.
There was.
I feel like Mass Effect Andromeda might have been.
Maybe.
So, like, double check me, but I feel like Mass Effect Andromeda was one. I think there have been a few recently that have pulled that shit. I'm pretty certain one of the big COD ones that came with like a drone or something didn't actually have the game. Again, I might be making that up, but I think Andromeda was one of the ones that the LE didn't come with it.
Oh, I think Mass Effect Andromeda was one of them, because you got a die-cast replica of the Nomad #1, and then you got a steelbook case, but you didn't get any
no game to go in the steelbook case. How dead is that?
And then Battlefield 1 had one as well with like, and so really you're like, this isn't a collector's edition. This is just merch, right?
A shitty loot crate, yeah.
Oh, you know which one? The Fire Emblem, like the original Fire Emblem, which got like re-released for the Switch.
Echoes.
That one
did
had
that come without?
No, it was the oh my god, Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light.
Okay.
That one had the code, like the game code on the box of the game.
Yeah.
But didn't bring the like an actual cartridge.
That though, like, to be honest though, they do that with games now, right? Like Gunslinger and shit.
But
has
I
it
hate
inside.
it.
I hate it too, but like,
go in a box, go fuck yourself.
I do dislike that, but what I will say, I think that's not as bad as just straight up not having the game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, of course. But
like,
still,
Jesus. I know, yeah.
Still, you went through all the effort to make like an awesome collector's edition, and you don't include the game or a cartridge or a disc. It's like, why? Why cut corners there?
Yeah. And this is the weird thing, because I always used to be a sucker for the art book soundtrack thing. And I think it's a weird one now, because oftentimes, like, the artwork you can generally find online. Soundtrack you can almost definitely find online. And so then it becomes this weird, difficult thing of like, why am I doing this? Especially someone who's not like massive about displaying the games in the way that Paula absolutely owns, but just doesn't necessarily work for the way that I lay things out. It becomes a very, very tricky one. And you end up, like you say, you do end up just paying a markup for stuff you're not especially going to use very often. The danger for those is the Steam ones. Because the amount of times I'm like, oh yeah, I'll pay £2 more for an art book and a soundtrack, and then never listen to them or read them.
I know, I've never
At least with the physical ones, like you get a physical thing. Conversely, what would you guys say the best one that you've ever had was?
Ooh, I have two stories for that one.
Do you want to bookend them, Paula? Tell your first one, and then we'll fill in, and then you can tell the second one.
Okay, this is technically one of the best ones, mainly because of how I got it. Because like at the time, I didn't have like a credit card or debit card, so I had to go to the store, which usually had limited amounts of limited editions, but like less than, let's say, GameStop, because they got their stuff from GameStop.
Right.
And I had to pay there, and hopefully between the announcement and whenever I got to the store, the item didn't sell out. So for this story, it was the limited edition for Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Fates, the one that had revelations in the cartridge too.
Yeah, the one that's really fucking difficult to get hold of. Now
Yep.
It's like DLC digitally only.
Yeah, plus the limited, like the Fire Emblem new 3DS that I got along it. And I got to the store, I paid, I came back home, and it was sold out.
Crikey.
So like I got like just in that window of time, I was able to go to the store as soon as the pre-orders were announced and published. And I was able to get the item. I was like, yes, I was so fucking happy at the time because I was just like, I finished like Awakening like the year prior, and I was like, oh my god, there's another Fire Emblem game, and there's like 3 of them. Oh, and there's like a 3DS with it, and I'm like, yes, I want that. And that trip to the store was tense. Like it felt like the bus was taking like forever to get there, but I got it, and it came with a little pouch, the art book, and I don't think it had the soundtrack now. But to this day, I like to flip through that book, and I actually use the art book to get references to make Kamui sword out of paper. Kamui sword is Korean. Actually, I never finished it, but it's somewhere in my room lying around. I could go grab it if you want, but okay, I'm gonna go grab it.
With zero encouragement and for exactly all of the benefit for an audio-only podcast.
There.
That's how we go.
Oh wow,
nice.
That is a big beef. I mean, we're talking 30-year-old male with a fedora wielding a katana type energy. Just for the people listening at home, like it's white and it's cardboard, but otherwise identical.
Incredible.
Yeah, like I was hoping
the fellow podcast host.
I was hoping to actually make a cosplay of Corin, but that never happened. But I did make the sword.
Well, there you
halfway
go.
there.
Halfway there. So yeah, that's story number 1.
I actually realized I do kind of have one, but I don't have it for a game because I don't buy those. Except maybe Infinity whenever that comes. Hopefully that'll be my favorite. It's the Game Boy RPG that was going to come out on the Game Boy years ago and then didn't. Now has a Kickstarter. I backed it. So that physical's coming one day. But actually, I backed. I don't even know the best way to call it. Like it's bigger than a design, kind of almost like a journal. It's like a gaming journal called A Profound Waste of Time. And it came out in 2018, and it had a bunch of articles by like game developers and stuff. And they just recently like put it back up on maybe Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I can't remember where. And so I backed it, and I just got them like a week or so ago. And they're so beautiful. Like the graphic design on these books is incredible. Like every page is gorgeously laid out. The typeface of the font, like it's so beautiful. And like halfway through there'll be like a small section where it's like a tiny little flip book from like the Shovel Knight developers talking about their like construction of one part of the game, and then like it's so cool. And like there's guys from Way Forward talking about like his directing of different like licensed games. Like he talks about making a Batman game, a Barbie game, and I can't remember the other one was, but like just the ways that they do it, and like it's so, if you're into game design at all, these are incredible. But I guess now it's useless because you can't get them anymore. But anyway, it's like in terms of a limited edition, like I'm actually way more into the literature now. Like I think about like I've got all of the those what books are they called there? The boss fight books, right? Like it's just that kind of stuff for me. Which, by the way, if people are into it, oh shit! By the time you listen to this, it'll be done. I'll post in the Discord.
Oh, there's the humble, isn't there, for all of them?
Yeah.
I'm in two minds over there. I'm going to dunk some money on it.
Yeah, I actually dunked my money on it again because I wanted to have the digital versions as well as the physicals. Because it wasn't
That's
much.
fair.
It was like $20 for all of them, and I was like, and a couple that you can't get physically anymore. So I was like, you know what? I don't even give a shit. I want to have all the physicals and I want to have all the digitals so I can carry it around and like read it when I'm not home. It's shit. You know what it is? It's like the reason I'm so into those things, and I guess this is probably what maybe collector's editions are good for, is that you just can't get that information online easily, right? Like it's stuff that's like these aren't a simple Google search away. This is like specially curated, researched stuff to engage with, and like that's what I really like about it, and why I get like what gets me into that kind of stuff, you know? Because we've talked about this, how like the internet can be a bit of an echo chamber of stuff, right? Like the same information gets repeated over and over and over again, which is fine. It's just that sometimes you're like, I would like to hear some new perspectives, and so that's what I look for.
I think, and this is sort of a cop out, my favorite LE is probably the one for Xenoblade Chronicles, because it came with a fucking sexy Classic Controller Pro in red, and I used that loads. I played the whole of the last story with that controller, which is kind of interesting because it's like Operation Rainfall crossover. I played all of Xenoblade on Wii that I did with that controller, and I played a hell of a lot of Smash with that controller. It's kind of weird because outside of that, and also we got the original Skyward Sword LE that came with like a golden designed Wii Motion Plus
the Wii Motion
remote.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, almost all of the ones I've got are like soundtrack art book. Occasionally, like an extra random piece of fluff. I do have a limited run copy of Deadbolt, which I treasure. Otherwise, it's just either limited games of themselves or, as I say, art book soundtrack. I have to say, I haven't played it yet, but I have listened to the soundtrack from the limited edition of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the orchestration they did for that opening track, wow.
Yeah.
Moved me physically. Crazy good. And I've got no nostalgia for the fucking thing. It boggles the mind the effect that would have on someone who like grew up with and loved the original game. You have a second story for us, Paula?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick a second story because I just remember like 7 more, but sorry. But well, like honorable mention to Fire Emblem Echoes, because that is a gift from my brother and I still have it, and I use like every single piece of merchandise that was in here. But I have to say, like, my favorite, oh my god, is it Cupid Parasite? No, it has to be Megami Tensei 5 because it has like the Jack Frost bag, which I've used already. Like I barely go out, but I use it. And also that was like a stroke of very, very good luck. Like for a second I look at the phone just as in the Twitter feed the Atlus was announcing that the pre-orders on Amazon were open. And I clicked just quick enough to get that limited edition. Also, I already said I'm a sucker for art books, and this one has like the complete Demon compendium in one little book with a
Oh,
short
damn.
description.
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
It is amazing. So I really like to just flip through the pages and see and read all the different inspirations for each demon.
Nice.
And I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm one of the few people that I know that actually flips through the art books more than once.
Probably.
Is it just me, or am I just crazy?
No comment.
It's probably just you, honestly. I feel like I always tell myself, yeah, I'll look at those more than once, and never fucking do.
Yeah, but oh my god. And the other one would be Cupid Parasite, but it isn't it doesn't have any epic story of how I barely got the limited edition or anything like that, because I think there's still a couple of limited editions on sale on Idea Factory's website, but that was just neat. It had a lot of stuff on it, and it even had the drama series that came with the Japanese version day one, and they sent you a link with the translation, and that's just neat. It's you finished Cupid Parasite. Do you want more Cupid Parasite? Here you go. And that's just awesome, because it is the music is already this one game probably should have had a music CD included, because the music is amazing. But the fact that they included the opening, the ending, and 2 drama CDs in 2 CDs, and the translation, I cannot say no to that. That's just awesome. So yeah, those are my limited edition shenanigans stories.
Nice. Well, I think we should move along because we've already gone wildly long for us.
And it is worth saying we have to discuss the brand new format
Yes.
for How Long to Beat the Game. This week we are finally going to do that mix-up that we've promised. The new setup is this. Each week, as before, the person responsible for editing that episode is going to randomize and randomly select a game, but here's where it gets different. They are not playing that week. Instead, the other 2 hosts go head-to-head, posting their predictions for Main Plus, and 100% privately to the host, who is then going to reveal them one by one. Whoever gets closest to that time gets a point. If it's equally close, both parties get a point. There is also then at the end a bonus. That's host's pick. It might be how many people have completed this game. What's the average review score? Whoever gets closest on that one gets 2 points. So there's a total of 5 points up for grabs between the 2 participants in each week. As always, let us know what you think. You can email us, Discord, YouTube comments, all the places that you ordinarily find us, and of course the How Long to Beat forums as well. So, Paula, this week you are the hostess with the mostest. What is the game?
Okay, this one is interesting.
Uh-oh.
So Disgaea 5 complete.
Didn't we do that already?
Complete.
I know we did a
Okay.
Disgaea at one point. No,
It
we
wasn't.
we
didn't.
did
I don't
a
think it was
3.
5.
Do you want me
Oh,
to
okay.
re-roll that?
It's entirely up to you.
I don't know.
Actually, this one has interesting text. So.
You can do it. I don't care.
Okay.
It's fine if you want. Yeah.
Cool.
Let's see. I think
Which platforms was 5 on? 5 complete? Is that
it's on the Switch for sure. I remember
it's on the Switch.
This was the one that I bought because I was like, maybe I'll try Disgaea, and then I played when there was no games on Switch, and then I remember playing it for a bit, and I was like, fuck no. You gotta really these games are for people who love this game in particular. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not really for anyone else, but I know that the hours are gonna be fucking absurd.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Okay, we just had to be closest, right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Changes
But this is the conceit. Neither of us know what each other are putting because we're messaging these privately to Power.
Yeah.
So we find there's none of the I'm gonna put what the other person put, or that's a good idea, I'm gonna copy that. This is Oh, this is
Completely blind.
completely blind. So
Let's see here. Okay.
In the meantime, I'm just gonna check which kind of question I can ask
yeah,
for the extra round.
absolutely.
Okay. All right, I think I've got mine.
Yeah, mine are with Paula right now.
Okay, this is funny because Rick, you said 40 hours for main,
Yep.
90 hours for main plus,
Yep.
and 250 hours for 100%.
Mm-hmm.
We're the same on.
Alex said 40 hours for main,
Ah!
60 hours for main plus, and 150 hours for 100%.
Okay.
So
we both get
well,
points
the
for one
first-
then, huh?
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, basically, yes.
Yeah.
So for this game, main story is 52 and a half hours.
Okay.
Okay. So a point each
And
there. Yep.
you both get a point.
Mm-hmm.
Main plus extras would be 89 hours. So Rick, you're so fucking close to that.
Damn.
You
Okay.
got that point too.
What did Alex put? I didn't. Oh no, you.
60.
What was it? 40. Right. Okay. And then you were 150.
Yeah, which I'm having a feeling is not going to be close to this one.
Yeah, I feel like I think I
Yeah.
undershot. I'll be real. I think I undershot.
And for the last time, let's repeat the times because Alex says
150.
150 and Rick says 250.
We've massively undershot here.
And the answer is 236.
Oh, that means you're
Rick
closer.
did get the
Yeah.
point.
I genuinely thought I was going to be 300 plus. When you said, "Oh, this is what you two have put," I thought we were going to be both wildly off. Okay, so
Wait, so where do we
currently,
put the points? Oh, we just put them under our names now, huh?
yeah.
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
So I've got one so far, and then Rick, you've got 3, right?
But there's another 2 points up for grabs with the host's choice question. What are we thinking, Paula?
Yeah. What's your question?
Yeah,
Bella?
I'm trying to think here because I could do like the classic, oh, how many people have this on their backlog? But I could be an ass and said something about what is the longest time on Nintendo Switch, like the absolute longest time.
That's incredible.
The
I love that
absolute
as a
longest.
question.
Okay.
Yeah,
What decision are you making? What's the question going to be?
yeah. What's the absolute longest time logged for Nintendo Switch?
And remind me, what
God.
was the 100% again?
250. No, 236.
It's 236. Okay. Longest time.
Yeah, I'm using like the times on that's like platform fastest and longest and all that jazz per platform on the site.
Okay. All right, you know what? I'm going fucking ham wild on this. All right.
I don't feel confident about this at all. I've cast my vote, but I do not feel confident.
I'm Hail Marying it because I think I was too conservative in the last ones. I might have overshot it, but whatever.
I'm worried I've undershot again. Yeah. Right, come on, Paula.
Okay.
What is that about misery?
Alex says 415 and Rick says 485. And the answer is 445 hours and
Oh, you
36 minutes.
That's Alex's name.
Alex got the extra round for
So I-
like a 10-hour difference.
Damn. So then we're tied 3-3. Okay. Damn,
I think it
that's
said
good.
something about the game that a 10-hour difference feels as close as it does.
I know, right? Yeah, because like this in this case, 10 hours might as well be 1 hour. That's like pretty damn close.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like $2.5 Box Boy games right there.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow,
my
that was straight
God.
up because I was 30 off, you're 40 off. Damn, that was close. That was a nail biter. All right.
So we
I gotta
finished.
say, I like this version of the How Long to Beat the Game.
Yeah, this
It
is
brings
good.
the intrigue back. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan. So
Mhm.
3-3. as we start, and Paula, I mean, what are you doing? You're on no points.
Hey, I'm the one running the show here. Give me some credit.
So
Maybe she'll call some back next week.
yeah, the concept for those two, like our idea is that we're gonna go, I think, to what would we say, to 20 first?
Either 20 or 25. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how many points we get in the next round if we're like shooting up. But the idea is that we're gonna try to decide, and maybe this is where you can help us out, listeners. We're gonna try to decide on some kind of like the winner gets to choose, the others play something or try something, game related. And then, the losers have to do it. So, and then that way we can kind of, because we realized like before our scores were insane. Like we were just running up a tally with no end in sight. So this is hopefully
Whose thing? The points didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It was a game where every week it was like, oh, I won. Yay. Okay. But who cares? So now we've got a little more to do.
We have stakes.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining us. And we'll see y'all next time.
Tune in next week.
Bye.